when you invite magazines, you not only invite their staff or people to the trip, you also be paying them for like a full page advertisement. That's something that none of us receive. We don't receive any money. Yes, we got a trip to attend this event. Holy crap. Now I have like 4 or 5 products and they all launching within a month because once I receive the product, I need to spend at least 2 weeks playing with it.
This year, the theme in filmmaking and the photography niche has been a lot of different drama, with the whole creators receiving products for free trips, the whole reviewer bias and everything that's been going on. But is that really a bad thing? Well, today I have a special guest joining me, and that is Richard Wong, who is from New Zealand. He's a creative who creates content all about different filmmaking and photography gear in great depth. And when I mean great depth, I mean extremely long episodes reviewing all the good, the bad, and especially the ugly with different products. Now, we'll be diving kind of our thoughts into talking about is receiving free gear or making a video for a product and how you should be approaching that. Is that really necessarily a bad thing, and when should you end up saying no? But without further ado, Richard.
Hello, Matt. Thanks for having me.
I'm stoked to finally have you on the episode. I know you've been commenting a bunch. We've been talking back and forth for getting you on. So I'm stoked that we can finally sit down and have this conversation.
Yes, I'm really excited that we finally got a chance to talk because we didn't really talk much when we were in Japan.
I know, that's a bummer. I've been noticing more and more recently as been having guests on. I was like, oh, you were in Japan? I didn't even know. Like, I knew you were there, but it's like, there's so many creatives. I feel like I just should have spent more time trying to hang out with everyone, or just stay longer like you did last time, just hang out longer with you. Maybe that's the goal for next time.
Yeah, stay longer, but yeah, maybe we can talk about it. End up staying in the hotel room.
Yeah, and especially it's because it was like early mornings and then it's always late nights, and that is just not me. I'm an early morning person, but I go to bed at like 8 p.m. my time and I'm out. So staying up at like 1 a.m. was that's too crazy for me.
I'm similar as well. I'm a little bit better than you, but also I can't go out at night.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
So I guess since you are a first-time guest, and I am always asked these questions as the kind of warm-up questions, but you use a ton of different Lumix cameras, but I'd love to talk about how you got into the Lumix ecosystem as a whole, and then what was that first Lumix camera that you've ever used?
My first Lumix camera with a Lumix brand on it, I think it was the GF1. So that was one of the first micro four third camera from Lumix, Panasonic. Not the first one. I think the first one was G1, but it was the GF1 when they released it. I was like, oh, such a cool little camera, and also especially with the 20mm pancake lens, I was like, that looks fantastic, and it looks so small, and it still has a big sensor compared to everything else was either the big DSLR or the small compact camera with a tiny sensor. So yeah, that was my first Lumix camera. When was that? I don't even know when was that. Is it 2000?
2008 maybe?
Yeah, I think
no
around
idea.
that time. Yeah, so that was my first Lumix, and that was my first mirrorless camera as well. Yeah, and just so excited about that camera when I bought it.
I know. I definitely feel like I need to try to hit Lumix up to see if I can get some retro old cameras or find stuff on eBay, because I didn't start my entire filmmaking industry until I was 16 is when I got my first Lumix camera, and I was 16 years old. So I have no experience of all the older cameras. So a lot of people have been mentioning cameras on here. I'm like, I've never even heard of that camera. But I'm curious, personally speaking, what is that current camera setup? Because I know you did mention to me that you use a bunch of different cameras.
Yeah, right? I use, if you look at my desk behind, it's really messy. That's why I blew everything out. Like, I have like many different cameras. I have a Sony A7CR, I have a Leica Q, Fujifilm X-H2, etc. My main camera setup, especially for video, would be the S5 II. That's what I'm using most of the time for video. Like, for example, pretty much all my YouTube video over the last 2 years or so. I think 95% were shot using the S5 II. I actually shot a few video using the S9, and that was even before the new firmware. So there, I have to be really careful with the time limit. Sometimes I just have to press it once again. Once it finished, then I do another video. Yeah, mainly S5 II. And the lens I use the 24 millimeter 1.8. That's my main YouTube setup here. But I have been using the S9 quite a bit as well, like because I have the S5 II pretty much permanently set up on my rig here that I attach to all the cables and wires, so I don't want to take it out when I shoot some B-roll product shot and things like that. So a lot of time I just use the S9. Even back then we have the video time limit, it doesn't really matter to me. I never need to shoot any B-roll that is longer than a couple of minutes. So yeah, I use both of these cameras a lot, especially for videos.
The S9's definitely been one of my favorite cameras. Not professionally speaking, because I do run a video production company, but for everything else, like all my personal footage, going to the zoo, taking photos, like the S9 has been my go-to for all of that. And I've been currently kind of flipping like who I think the S9 is for. Definitely there's a lot of people it can be for, but the target audience lately I've been saying the S9's for is the filmmakers who just want a camera that is small and compact, or the filmmaker dads who just want to like take cinematic videos of their baby without pulling out an FX6 or pulling out a fully rigged out S5 2X.
Yeah, especially the IBIS so good that you don't need gimbal, you don't need anything else, you can just handheld it, right? So that is
100%.
Yeah, that's so good. Like I just came back from a holiday overseas, went to Japan and Taiwan, and I was thinking which camera should I bring. Should I bring the S5 II? Should I bring the S9? Should I bring my Leica Q? Or should I bring the A7CR? Like I bought the S9 because it's just such a tiny camera and it can do photo and video, both of them, pretty well.
Yeah, I was thinking that too myself. Like if Lumix asked us for another summit event coming up or whatever, no idea if there is one happening again. Allegedly, yeah. That's what the lawyers tell you to say. Allegedly, if there's another event coming up, I thought about it. Would I bring my S5 2X or would I just bring my S9 if it was a full frame event? And I'm like, I think I might just bring my S9. But the only reason I feel like I'd be like, all right, I'll probably bring the S5 2X as well potentially is just for podcasts and set up a podcast setup in my room.
Yeah, I think that's probably the only reason. Otherwise, yeah, S9 is pretty much the same. And
S9's great.
So much
and
smaller.
I've been shocked like a recent guest, Anthony Rodriguez, actually used the S9 in 6K 24 frames a second, and we shot over an hour, and it was perfectly fine. And I was like,
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah,
that means I can record podcasts on it.
Yes.
So anyways, before diving into the topic, I guess, I do want to kind of figure out the true meaning of like, what does it mean to receive something for free in the filmmaking niche and industry? And basically, just to give audience a context, basically it's getting a product from a or from a filmmaking company, photography company, and basically making a video for it. That's the essential definition, and that's kind of been the issue that's been happening, because it does kind of create a bias in a sense. Oh, you get a free product, but you are putting the work and the effort to make the video regardless. Now I'm curious, what was that first time you remember getting something for free? And do you remember what that product was? Did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? What was that first product that you've ever received for free?
Yeah, I think the first product I received for free was something that was not planned like that. I think that was quite a while ago when I was doing lens review. That was back in the DSLR days. So there was a new company, they created a new lens and they reached out to me and say, hey, we have a prototype lens. I want you to give it a try, give us some feedback, and maybe create a video review. Not video. That was before I do YouTube, like do a review or something about it. So been testing it, and probably because that was a new company. End up it damaged my camera. The mirror it flip up. When it flip up, it just touches and it
Oh,
hit the back of the lens at some
dang.
certain focus distance. So at first this is good, and then all of a sudden it start hitting it because I think like close focus or something. So there was a lot of problem back and forth. I need to get my camera to get fixed. They pay for the repair, but it was still quite a bit of hassle because it means I can't use my camera for a couple of weeks. In the end, they say, "Oh, sorry." They sent me another replacement lens because they say, "Okay, we made some modification." And then in the end, they say, "Yeah, because all the troubles and things like that, you just keep the lens. Yeah, sorry about that, etc." So I think that was the first free lens that I received. Yeah, a little bit dramatic.
Yeah, that's definitely experience. I remember um, one of the first products that I've ever received, and I reached out to companies, was just budget products, budget lights, just because like I need lighting. I have like less than 1,000 subscribers. Let me reach out to random companies and see who says yes. And things stuck, and I was able to make videos and got lights. And then over time, I've upgraded to much higher quality lights than what I received back then. But I am curious, do you remember when it started that companies started reaching out to you consistently, like saying like, hey, we have this product. Will you review it? If it's, filters, lights, lenses, when did that happen more consistently? Because I know from my own experience, like it is starting to happen where companies start reaching out and I'm like, yes to some, no to others and all of that. But when did that happen to you?
I think it was probably like 1 year or so after I start like making video on YouTube. So that was back in 2018 or so, around that time. So I've been doing YouTube reviews for about 1 year or so, got maybe a few thousand subscribers, and then start having regular company. Regular means maybe once a month or so. Then people approach you and just say, hey, do you want to do a review or make a video about this product? I'm happy to send you that.
What's your gauge on like, saying yes to products like, you know what? Yeah, I'll take my time to make a video. Cause like, as much as we say like, yes, it's for free, you are still taking the time to review the product, test it out, put it through the paces, film it, edit it, which takes a lot of time. So when do you say yes to products and when do you say no to products?
Yes. Maybe go back to something you touched on a little bit earlier, like free products that we got sent, right? Like technically it is free, but for us, it's not actually free. As you said, we have to spend so much time. Like I don't know about everyone else. Like for me, I usually spend at the minimum 2 weeks to play with it. I don't mean 2 weeks full time, but 2 weeks doing research, play with it, do try different things, test it, and then go sit down, write some review scripts, film it, edit it, all those things, a lot of communication back and forth. It may take me maybe 20 to 40 hours for a typical review to, from start to finish. I can use the 20-40 hours to say I shoot weddings. So I can shoot 1 or 2 weddings, including editing time, right? 40 hours, I can do 2 weddings probably, 1 or 2 weddings. I can earn a lot more money than say if I put a video on YouTube. We're not actually getting much money, right? Like in terms of view, you got a few dollars.
Right. Yeah. There's like affiliate
Yeah,
AdSense, but
and
it's definitely not.
it's not worth. Like I shoot a wedding, I can get a few $1,000. Like the time I could get much better return if I do something else. So yeah, it's not really free. You send me a product, it's not really it's free, but it's not really like free. Yeah, we have to spend so much time. Like if you on average, let's say some company send me a lens, the lens may be $300-$400. I have to spend 20 to 40 hours. If I say 20 hours, that means I pretty much $20 per hour, which is not
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And especially if like the average going rate is around $100 to $125, at least in US. I don't know what that is in
Yeah,
New Zealand.
yeah,
But if that's like the average
yep.
rate and
So
you spend that much time, you're like,
it's
all right, what's the
it's not
value?
really free, right? Yeah. So yeah.
Right.
So
So I guess going back to that original question, when do you say yes to products and when do you say no?
I would say yes only if I am genuinely interested in the product. Because I once I receive the product, I need to spend at least 2 weeks playing with it, do the review. It's not just having fun. It's not, oh, I got a free camera or gimbal or light. I have a play. That's it. You have to do a lot of work. So do I want to spend 2 weeks of my time to work on the product, right? If not, then yeah, if I'm not interested in, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Or like if I think my viewers not going to be interested, it doesn't motivate me to do that. So yeah, I really feel like excited to try out something. Potentially like it's something that I also want to buy it. Then yeah, then I would say yes. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, and I think that's like the biggest piece of advice right there is like, especially for creators just starting off and like maybe they're reaching out or companies are reaching out to you. If you're not willing to put your own money or considering buying this product yourself, maybe you shouldn't be saying yes just because you get a free product to make a video on. And especially it's like if you don't have that excitement for that product to begin with, it just that's like really depends. And there is some merit where it's like, okay, this is a company like I want to start making relationships with. Maybe this isn't the product I'm the most hyped about, but I want to have a relationship with this company because they make X, Y, or Z products. Then that also can make sense if it's a relationship wise or if it's a product that you would be genuinely wanting, excited about, and willing to put your own dollars in front of it. Because there is something that I do think is interesting where creators are probably disassociated to a lot of costs, like the bigger you get and the more free products you get, because there we don't have to spend our own money all the time to get a lens or get a camera or get microphones or get lights. It tends to be that we can reach out, make videos in return, and we're not associating the physical dollar exchange for the product. But I am curious to, before we dive fully into that topic, do you ever feel tired or find yourself saying yes to one too many products at a time?
Absolutely. I do it all the time. I do it all the time, even though I have been trying to avoid this problem. So we say like there was a time that I starting to regularly got companies approach me, right? So I starting to say yes to a lot of those products back then. Pretty much, I would say majority of company that contact me back then, I would say yes because of, oh, that's cool. There's a new product. There's a cool product. Let me try it out. And what happened is end up a few weeks or months later, and I received a lot of parcels on my desk. And I was like, holy crap. Now I have like 4 or 5 products and they all launching within a month. How can I get how can I get all the review, all the video or whatever I promised, get it done? Like whatever I promise people, I really want to get it done. So that end up give me a lot of stress and pressure. Like I have to work really late night trying to get it done, and all my spare time, all my weekends, I just basically just work on those reviews. So I learned from that. So what I did is I create a spreadsheet and calendar, and I start to January I can do probably 2 review. February I can do maybe 3 because I have a bit more spare time. So I starting to, like, when company approach me, I say, all right, January, right? Are you releasing on January? Okay, I can do it. So I start to fill up like that. So that's good. Unfortunately, that also didn't work because you may know, like, a lot of those product release, the timing, the time they tell you, is not, like, they end up changing all the time, right? So I may have agreed 2 reviews for January and then 3 for February. So end of January, the 2 reviews that I previously agreed, the product didn't arrive. and they arrive in February. So February now, from 2 or 3, I now have 5.
Always my thing, because if it's not a paid product review and it's like, we're giving you this product and you can make a video on it, I know for myself, I tend to tell companies where it's like, unless it's like something that I'm like, I want to be one of the first to reach the market, I'll tell a company like, hey, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to properly review this and put it through its paces before I make a video on it. Otherwise, if it's something, for example, like the Lumix S9 or the GH7 or different Lumix products, I tend to want to be one of the first to the market, and that'll be more showcases. And then, of course, on my channel, you guys who are watching this know I'll make more videos on Lumix cameras and more specific, in-depth, detailed videos about products over time. But I definitely tell companies like, hey, I'll be able to make this product video. It's going to take 1 to 3 months is typically what I tell companies, just to give myself time, because there is times where I accidentally, I'm like, oh man, I said yes to one too many products for sure. But it's like products that I would actually get behind and say what I like about it, but also say, you know, what I don't like about it. I guess with that, I am curious to hear, how do you approach, and I feel like you definitely have a more of a calm demeanor than myself, but how do you approach reviewing a product without overhyping the product, saying like, this is the best thing ever because X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
How do you approach that?
I think we all do that to some extent. You have to think about like why we may overhype a certain product. I think there are probably three reasons why we overhype a product. The first one is because a company send you free product. You know, you say, oh, they send me a free product. I want to build up a relationship. I don't want to, piss them off. I don't want them to stop contact me, stop sending me product or loaning me product, whatever, right? So you would like consciously or subconsciously, you would try to just say better things about it. Like you hype it, right? Overhype it. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of people would do that. Fortunately, this is something that easy to notice and it's easy to correct, because after you do it for a little while, you're starting to realize that I'm not doing YouTube or whatever. I'm not doing it for a company. I'm doing it for my channel, my brand, for my audience. So there's no one company that I should overhype their product because I just want to keep a relationship. Most company, it's not worth doing that. So that's the first reason. And the second one is a trickier one. Is we are human. Like every time I receive a new camera or new lens, I look at it, it's shiny, it's got new features, and you would just feel, oh, this is great. Now it can shoot 6K open gate, whatever it is, like new feature, streaming, whatever. It's like you got hype, and also the company's marketing department will also tell you all the good thing about it, and that make you even more hype about a product. So you would subconsciously you would just say, oh, this is great, because you just thought it is great, and that would make you overhype it a little bit. That's quite hard because a lot of time you didn't even notice it. I'm sure I myself did it many times, because when I rewatch my video, some of my video that I did like say 1 or 2 years ago, I watch it again, I say, oh, why I overhype it a little bit here and there, why I didn't think about this or that, right? So that's something my engineering background kind of trained me to do. So if I say like, hey, this is the best camera ever, you say, why you say that? This is the best autofocus ever. You say, okay, is it? Why is it, right? So maybe just try to ask yourself question about, I write down the script and I read it from like a third person point of view. Richard say this. Why did he say that? Is it true? Keep questioning yourself. That can try to, avoid overhyping because of this reason. I think the third reason is because how YouTube works. If you create a video, you can just say it in a very boring way. Just say this is A, this is B, it does this, it does that, it doesn't do that. Or you can overhype it, positively or negatively. And if you do that, you got a lot more views than just say in a very boring, straightforward way. And because of that, you kind of want to overhype things and creating some clickbait title, things like that. So this one is quite hard. Like, I definitely feel like I consciously try not to do that, but at the same time I also like try to see whether I can push a little bit, like push my title a little bit, create slightly clickbaity title, overhype maybe, like, but not like super overhype, like trying to find a line that how much I can push to get a little bit more view, but at the same time, not being too clickbaity. It's really hard.
Definitely a fine line, like you said. It's like, it is packaging at the end of the day. What does the packaging look like on the outside? What's the thumbnail? What's the title? What's the video content? Does the video content match the thumbnail title? And of course, you're going to get a bunch of people with a bunch of different views and viewpoints being like, this person is like just a shill for this camera company versus, people that are actually watching the entire video and seeing your truthful thoughts. And that's also something well worth noted. If you're thinking about commenting something on someone's channel and say X, Y, or Z, watch the full video, because they most likely mentioned a specific thing that you're talking about. Especially Richard, I feel like you, and I guess this is transitioning on, we both went to the Lumix Global Summit in May this year in 2024, which launched the Lumix S9, which could be debatable as the most controversial camera in 2024. But I was kind of going through your video and like looking in the comment sections. I didn't really see much negative comments that on that channel. And I could think that because that's probably because you had such an in-depth video. How could someone say that you're just hyping this video because it was like an hour and a half to 2 hours long, where it's like, okay, he's obviously not just overhyping this camera. Like, you spent a lot of time editing, late nights happening. Did you experience any negativity from the Lumix S9 launch or anything about that?
Definitely yes. Definitely yes. I think every single video that I see, I watch a lot of you guys, everyone's review or social media posts. I think everyone received some kind of shield. You got bought by the company. I think I see, like, I'm going to unsubscribe every single creator that has a S9 video. I'm going to unsubscribe all of them, etc. Right? So yeah, definitely have a feel, but not as terrible as some people I saw. Some comments are like really nasty. Fortunately, I don't have too many of those.
What are your thoughts on like major companies sending creators places for content? And yes, this could be camera launches, lens launches. Sony and Lumix both just had these launches, or sending a bunch of creators to a bunch of places. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it's not a new thing at all. Like, company has been doing this for pretty much forever, and every company do that. Sony do that, Fujifilm, Lumix. I have been invited to quite a few different events by different companies, some local, some overseas. So it's been like that for a very, very long time, and even before the YouTube, the social media, that's why we have the word press trip, right? That was back then when newspaper, magazines, they invite journalists to those overseas trips. That was something that has been done for I don't know, as long as you have cameras, and it's not just camera industry. Other industry would have that as well. I know, like automotive, car industry will have similar things. So it's something that has been around for a long, long time. A small difference is, back then, when you invite magazines, you not only invite their staff or people to the trip, you also be paying them for like a full page advertisement, right? That's something that none of us receive. We don't receive any money. Yes, we got a trip to attend this event, and they give us some long camera that we can use, but that's all, right? We didn't receive any money. A lot of time we spend a lot of money actually going to those trips because, we need to do this, prepare this. Every time I go to a trip, I would spend at least a few $100s to buy, buy this, buy that. I need an adapter, I need this, I need that, I need a new notebook, I need a new backpack, I need to buy a lot of things, right? So we actually not receiving money. So that's one difference. And the event itself, I think company need to do marketing. So they have to do something, right? So a lot of time, the smaller product launch, they do like a local event. Just, I don't know, evening, invite people to a dinner or something, and, invite hundreds of people to an event. While for a bigger event, they can do something a little bit bigger. A lot of the older events I attend are more like local or like a regional. While the Lumix one they did recently and the one 2 years ago is a global one, which is a little bit different. I did ask the Panasonic staff about, hey, isn't that costing you guys a lot of money? You send everyone to there, but they tell me like, no, it's actually not necessarily more money, like, because if they don't do a global event, what end up is they may do, say, 10 different events around the world, different region. So they have to set up things 10 times. They may have to get the engineers go to 10 different locations, and they still have to pay for a lot of things. It's not like it's free, right? You still have to get people to the same city, same area, whatever. So for them, it's not a lot more money. So that actually makes sense for them to do things like that. Compared to like inviting hundreds of people to a, like, say, dinner event, it makes more sense to invite a less number of people. I know there were like over 100 people invited to, was it over 100? Maybe around that. 150? Yeah, invite to Osaka. That sounds like a lot. But if you think about it, this is the global. There's like from every single region. It's not a lot of people. A lot of time, a local event, I would see 150 people, in the same restaurant or function or whatever place it is. But in those cases, you invite people there, they just go there, have a dinner, drink some wine, and they say, oh, yep, there's a new product. They wouldn't do anything. Like, they didn't do anything after the event. They just go home. Oh, that's cool, and that's it, right? While they invite all of us there, like, YouTuber, Instagrammer, TikToker, all these different people there. And a lot of us, even though Lumix, they didn't say, hey, you need to do, you need to hand in your two video by whatever day. But most of us would try to do something, because also our benefit, try to create some content, right? So we would do that. So I think the benefit of inviting people, specialized group of people to an event is actually makes sense.
No, for sure. And like you were saying earlier, it is cheaper for Lumix, even though logically from a viewer perspective, it doesn't seem like it's like you're getting flown to Japan, but it is cheaper for Lumix to do this event in Japan because their headquarters is in Japan. And like you were saying, it's like, just to kind of reiterate the points, is like, creators are using the tools, for example, the Lumix S9, to use that camera in a unique place and then show it off in the best way imaginable. Versus, if they sent that camera to all of us individually, just did the announcement, or it was just an embargo camera that they gave us at our home, most of us aren't going to be going to go film the coolest things imaginable. But it is worth noting, like, the creators are going to be creating content at this event. The company themselves will be creating content at the event. And at the end of the day, like you mentioned, creators are not forced to create content, but because of the experience, because of the content that we are able to create and the place that we are, that sometimes isn't the most tangible place to go to, we're going to create content about that at the end of the day. Now, I do feel like one of the biggest issues and concerns are why people got upset was basically who was and who was not invited. 150 people may sound like a lot, but when you think about it, there was only, I think, 33 people from North America, and then the rest are all over around the world, and people from, South Korea, from China, from New Zealand, from Australia, everywhere. There's like England, everywhere is being sent to this event. And like you were also mentioning, it's like people were at that event. Like, I know a lot of people, at least on my channel, on other channels, like, they should have sent TikTokers and Instagram Reel people there. And you're like, they did.
They were there.
But they were there.
They were there.
They were there.
Yeah.
They're just not going to make a camera review. And it's like, a lot of people had issues that, like, people who made camera reviews got sent there. Or specific people, they're like, well, this camera isn't designed for you. Why are you getting it? It's like, well, who else is going to be reviewing the camera on YouTube besides camera reviewers? And of course, they didn't send everyone. And there's that whole best drama. But I do think there's like the best interests are for the company. You know, the best interest for the company is they want, you know, potential reviews, most likely from the YouTubers to review the product. They want people like, or I guess, let me back up a little. The best interest for the company on who they're sending there is they want people that might review the product, who are just fans of the product, and they might be the target audience for the product. Those are like the three categories that I wrote down as like who companies are going to be sending to their events. Are you going to potentially review their product? You're more likely to get invited to an event. Are you just a fan of their product? Doesn't mean you're going to overhype the product. Doesn't mean that you're going to sell out. It just means that are you going to mention their products and actually use it? And then are you the target audience for the product, like Instagram Reel or TikTok creators who are at the event, even though they might not make the review, they still hit two of the categories. What do you, though, think that camera companies or just companies in general, even for the free product reviews that we were talking about earlier in this episode, what do you think they can do better kind of going forward in the future?
Go back a little bit. Like I heard people say like there was no like why Lumix didn't invite Instagram or TikToker, right? No, there were lots of them there. Like I also got the opportunity to went to the previous Lumix event in Tokyo. And when I look at like the people that got invited to that event and this event is very different. Like even from New Zealand, one of the girls that got invited there, she's not a camera reviewer. She just do travel and travel blog and those kind of things, which is the like one of the target kind of audience for this camera. And some of the person got invited from Australia or their Instagrammer. So, you know, there are a lot. Because I heard like some conspiracy say, oh, it was not supposed to launch the S9. It should be G7. Or it should be something else, right? So first, there's no something else. It's been quite a few months. Where's there something else? I haven't seen that something else. I haven't seen anything like that. And it was not the GX7 because I knew it was not the GX7 because me and Piotr, we were in Japan. We have the GX7 actually, but we were doing the product video, right? So we know that it is not. The camera was ready, pretty much ready, but they purposely choose not to launch that together. They just want to launch S9 because that's their focus, and that's why they invite a lot of Instagram or TikToker to the event.
Yeah. I guess to also add to that thought as well is like I think the reason that it was the S9, even though like you said you knew the GH7 was coming because you guys were making the launch video and you were helping Pure Tech without that. But the reason I think they chose the S9 over the GH7 was probably simply because of the fact, well, I don't know where the S1 Mark II or the S1H Mark II is. Those are obviously not ready yet, or else they would be here.
It's not there, still not here yet.
It's not here yet. But the second thing that I did think about on why they're choosing this camera specifically is because if they sent this camera out to all of us again, like I mentioned earlier, is they sent this camera out to a bunch of people and like, hey, here's our new camera. Who's going to be making a video really on that camera? Versus, hey, let me take you to a cool place you might have never been before. Let me take you to a place that has amazing architect, amazing landscapes, amazing cities, and just a completely different world for some people like myself, because that was my first time out of my own country. But let me take you there and let me give you a product that is designed for travel, designed to be used in these type of circumstances. And then the people that would make a video on that product increase exponentially, probably because maybe they wouldn't have done before. And now they also realized how it can fit in their own personal workflow. And I have seen people make other follow-up videos like Kofi, like Kamaki, who made follow-up videos actually using the product, not just from the event, but later on in life, later on after a couple months had passed. But anyways, back to that question. What can companies do better?
Some people question about, hey, they invite the wrong people. They don't invite this reviewer or that reviewer. That's why some reviewer made a video that caused a lot of the drama. I don't think Lumix did anything wrong. I think it's normal for a company it's a marketing event, right? At the end of the day, it's a marketing event. So marketing people want to market their product in the best possible way. Doesn't mean you really just have to invite all your fanboy, fangirls to the event. They know that if they just do that, it's not good. It's not good because people know who are the people that, they just really love the product, so they would just say all the good thing, which is part of human nature, like we all do. They should just invite people who can understand the product, which I think they did, because it's very important. Because I also saw a few reviews for the S9. There's some reviewer complain about S9 doesn't have this, doesn't have that. To me, I feel like those people, they don't understand what the camera is designed for. It's like, let's say, okay, I create a little table for your family room for a small family. So I give you the product. It's a table. It's a small table for your family room. And then you got it and say, this table is nice, but it should be a bit smaller because I want to use it in my bedroom as a study desk, and you don't have drawers. You should add some drawers, then that would be the perfect one. But right now it's missing all these things, so it's a missed opportunity. It's missed the market, which in some way what that reviewer say is completely right. Yeah, if you add a drawer and make something, yeah, it would be better as a study desk, right? It would fit the other part of the market. There is a market for that, but the company purposely don't want to make this product for another purpose. So, and if you try just use your personal preference, like how you want to use it, and don't really understand what the product is for, and just try to say I need a drawer. You don't have a drawer. You miss opportunity. That's not quite right. I feel that's not quite right? You can think, okay, if you want it to be a dining room table, I think you should make it, I don't know, a little bit bigger or whatever, because a dining table, people want to do that. Then I think that's a fair comment. It's like, okay, that's right. Okay, it's not perfect as the purpose that it was designed for. I think that's a fair comment, and that's, reviewer should do. But a lot of time, reviewer don't understand and just try to, change the direction of a product that is not intended for. That's wrong. So I think Lumix did the right thing. They invited people that can understand, or most people that can understand the product, and the people that they know that would not understand, they didn't invite. So that's good. What I would like to see for myself is, I would like to have a little bit more time between the event.
That's true.
And the actual the embargo date
announcement,
right? So because we only had about 1 week.
Yeah, it was the week of the event, 1 week after.
Yeah.
Launch.
So for me and Julia and Piotr, we stay a little bit longer. We stay about 1 week longer. We book ourselves a couple of days in Tokyo, because there are a few things we want to do. We want to also shoot a bit of that GH7 product video, but then we also want to do a few other things because we didn't got a chance to do it together last time. So, but end up, we spend pretty much 90% of the time in hotel during those few days, because we were just there trying to finish off the video, doing the editing and everything.
No, for sure, because I definitely get the perspective from both sides. From the creator side's like, yeah, give us more time to like figure out the camera, figure out the quirks, pit it to the test a little bit more. Yeah. And there's definitely big advantages to that. But I also do see from a company's perspective, whether you like it or you don't, and that could be your own deciding factor. Let me know in the comments below. But I can see it's like, okay, it's kind of like growing up, I went to church camp, and there's called Camp High, where it's like you're super stoked, you just came back from church camp, and it's kind of the exact same thing here. It's like everyone's super hyped about this product. They just were in Japan. Of course they want to make this video, and they're like putting all the hours and all the effort into it. But I guess another thing that I even personally would like to see, even if it was just like offered, it wasn't like, hey, this is the event, this is what you guys also need to attend. Even if it was like the second day in Japan, I think it would have been great to see like hey, can we just have a time where we're just sitting down and just ask you questions and just have a room of talking to you guys directly, even if it's in small tables and groups settings where if like a bunch of people show up in circle tables and there's different representatives from different regions. So it's, like the New Zealand can have like people from the New Zealand Lumix team, et cetera, US, England, just where we can actually ask our questions and like limitations, being like, hey, what's the limits of this camera? Because personally, I remembered not figuring out about the cold shoe versus the hot shoe until like I think the second day late at night. I'm like, oh, yeah, it'd be sick. You just use the hot shoe. You can throw on like a viewfinder monitor. They should totally make that product. And I was talking to someone on the team at Lumix, and they're like, oh, it's a cold shoe, by the way. And I'm like, oh, sick. Okay. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, forget that idea. But it's like they didn't tell us that stuff, and I think that's just from a perspective. It's like, hey, just let us know what the limits are, and like not make us have to chase rabbit holes instead of just being upfront and being like, all right, figuring out it doesn't have a mechanical shutter, figuring out obviously the cold shoe versus hot shoe, which is so silly because like I just never took that off. I was like, oh, I never took it off yet.
Yeah.
I guess now I find out.
Yep.
Which that's a whole point of reviews too, is just being, looking for all those things about the cameras, looking for the time limits, and like you mentioned, the time it takes to make an in-depth review. That first Lumix S9 video that I made, I would say that can be more considering a showcase, and it's not just saying only the positive things, it's still saying the negative things, versus a review is showing the more depth of a product, the limitations of the product to a more of an extreme, like here's the overheating test, here is the dynamic range test, here is the autofocus test, to more of an extreme setting. I think that's when more reviews come into play versus showcases are just more of the brief overview.
Go back to your previous point about like having during the event have a time to sit down with the team, Lumix team. I think that's a really good thing. I myself actually have thought of it. I thought it'd be good because Lumix, they are very engineering focused company, right? So they got a bunch of the engineers at the event as well. And they would actually there for us to ask questions, but a lot of time is like during the dinner or whatever. It's a bit hard to, they're having dinner and yeah, it's more like, it's not like go there and say, hey, what about this button? It's weird if you go and ask them this, and you don't know which is the proper person to ask, right? I think it would be great, if they have a few different sections to sit down and talk about it, and you can ask questions, tell us the bad thing, not just tell us all the good thing, so we don't have to find out ourselves, but also maybe go one step more, like not just tell us the bad thing, like there's no mechanical shutter. They haven't actually tell us. We have to figure it out ourselves. But explain to us why there's no mechanical shutter. What's the reason why there's no mechanical shutter? Why is it? Is it because there's not enough space? Or is it because that will cost too much? Or is it because, it will, get too close to S5 II? I don't know what's the reason, right? If they, one thing I believe is every company, they spend a lot of efforts, a lot of time to think of the best possible product that they can create with all the constraints that they have. The constraints they have, we don't understand most of them. We didn't think about most of them from our point of view. But there must be a reason why they didn't put, a EVF there, right? Is it because they want to save some money or whatever? Like if they explain to us as well, that's good, because then we can think about it and say, hey, if it makes sense or not. If it makes sense, we can also tell, and then if it doesn't make sense, we can also say, hey, that's what Lumix tell us. I don't think it makes sense, right? You can tell people, yeah. But at least we hear their side of the story, not just we complaining or guessing.
Right. And I think it's like communication's the key at the end of the day, and then also scheduling, because I believe it's most of us landed on a Sunday or a Monday. Tuesday towards the later half of the day was when the event was, and we got the camera nighttime. That was it. And then there was also a dinner that night, I believe, as well. But alternatively, if they made the schedule just a little bit different, where it was maybe at 11 in the morning, there was the announcement event. Yes, it's not as fun as doing it in the night, But then, you know, people playing with it during the day. Then before dinner, there's roundtable discussions and a bunch of circle tables where we can talk to those engineers, talk to the marketing team, talk to just the people at Lumix, and ask our questions as an optional event. Would be super beneficial because, yeah, maybe the Instagram reel and the TikTokers or the people who don't really want to know all the technical terms might not show up. But then there will still be a handful of us that do show up. And I think to kind of pinpoint also to other, you know, products, and not including just cameras or Lumix or Sony cameras, but also just to other companies, like being able to, I personally always recommend, if you have an issue with the product, before just saying it in a video, ask the company, make a relationship with whoever your contact with the company. Hey, I noticed there's this issue. Is this being able to be fixed in a firmware update? Or is there a reason there's this issue? So then you're just better informed when you kind of give this information to your audience. You can be like, hey, there's a delay in the audio because of this, or the audio track has to stop because of X, Y, and Z. And then instead of saying like, the audio is delayed, it's just not great, you shouldn't get this, being like, no, it's actually coming in a firmware update, this is the reason why it's delayed. Definitely that. But I have one more last question before we land the plane. But before that, where can people check you out, Richard? Where do you want to send all the lovely people listening today?
Okay, probably my main platform is YouTube. So search for my name, Richard Wong, W-O-N-G, and you can find me on YouTube. So that's my main platform. I'm on Instagram as well, even though I don't really post much, but I do check. But if you want to find me on Instagram, it will be photo_by_Richard. So photo_by_Richard. So yeah, either of this platform you can find me. I'm also on other platform you may find me, but probably those are the two main platforms that I use.
Yeah, there'll definitely be links in the description for anyone that's interested in seeing where Richard is. Now, my last question today is going to be kind of going over the entire episode, talking about, you know, receiving free gear. It's a good thing, bad thing, all of that. We talked a lot about this. Two new reviewers, or two people that are just getting into the industry right now, what advice would you give people receiving products for the first time? How would you give them the advice on reviewing or going about doing reviews?
When company reach out to you, ask you, do you want to receive a free product? I think it's naturally very super tempting to just say yes to everything, especially when you're first starting out. I definitely do probably more than I should at the very beginning, but I think you just need to really think about, like, don't just like FOMO, you just fear of missing out and you just say yes to everything. Don't do that. Just think about what's the, like, very selfish way, like, what does it bring to you? Like, if you do this, if you receive this product, what benefit does it bring to you? Is it because you really like this product, you want to play with it? Is it because it's like aligned with your channel? For example, you want to do, say, lighting gimbal review. Oh, it's a gimbal. Yes, that's perfect. That's what I want to do. So yeah, that matches it. Or maybe it's not completely aligned, but you know, it's getting close. That also makes sense as well. Or is it a company that you want to build relationship with, you want to have some long-term relationship with, then maybe, yep, that's good. Or maybe it's just because you really starting out, want to do some YouTube, like say YouTube reviews, and you have nothing to review. So, okay, whatever it is, just give me something that I can review. So I use it as a, you know, as a practice or whatever it is. That's okay too, I think. But just think clearly that does it actually benefit you, or do you just want to receive free gear? Because just receiving free gear is not really that helpful to you at all compared to, you know, the time that you can spend on other things.
Well, thank you so much for joining me in today's episode, Richard.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
And if you guys want to check out another episode where I talk about the review bias happening here on YouTube, you can check out that video right there. YouTube recommends you might like this video right here. Till next one, guys. Peace.